There you go. Recording. So yeah, it's just one of those days, isn't it? You just both
Yeah,
say,
Gary likes to press the record button as soon as we start these conversations. But
because
yeah,
all the best stuff comes out before you. I used to do a podcast called In at the Deep End, where I just said that to people. As soon as you come on the call, it's recording. There's no fluff. There's no kind of diving in. Just because
there's no pretentious. It's not being pretentious, is it? It's not being like, oh, I've got to look smart and let me look dressed nicely and prepare myself. No.
Well,
No,
exactly.
I shared with Gary.
I'm in my house. It's got no wallpaper on it. Yeah, God, you shared with me.
I was sharing with Gary the fact of I could have been a victim. I've just missed a meeting with someone, and I actually messed the dates around. And yeah, I could be a victim about that, Gary, and I could have really gone into a total whirlwind of thoughts, anger, frustration. But I just took ownership. I apologized straight away. And that ownership, I think, is very important for us all, and very much relates to what's happening in and around us. Even for this retreat, and in business and life, being a victim, it just messes you up. It just brings you down, demotivates you. It creates a different stance of who you can be. And me taking ownership has allowed me to take that on board, make my apology, and amend the situation. And that's it. As you said, Gary, so what? Let's get on with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's a very complex subject, victimhood. I mean, people think it isn't, but it is, and there's a lot of nuances in it. I've had the fortune, should we say, to deal with people that have been, it's difficult to say the word true victims, and I don't mean that, but have been really kind of a victim to something in their life. And be that something traumatic, even as rape or things like that. I've spoken to people like that, and on a podcast I was talking about as well, but also in some other work that I do. And there is something about it, what happens when that person processes, what's going on for them, and they realize that they don't have to be a victim to the event, but they can be a victim. You see what I mean? It's like they can realize that they're not at fault, and that they were a victim to that event, and something happened to them that they didn't have any control over. And regardless of how they got into that situation, that there's no blame there for them, and they have to get away from that shame and guilt. But then at the same time, they realize that they don't have to be a victim to the event that's happened. And I think you see that in people that go through very traumatic experiences as part of their growth out of it, is that they realize that, oh, I don't have to be a victim to the event, but I can still be a victim in a way that, I can not have to blame myself for the event itself. So it's still in a way of, they're realizing that they're not wearing that badge of victimhood, like you said. It's I don't have to put it outside of myself in some way, and not take any responsibility for the way that I show up with that event in my life. We do it so often in small ways, don't we? Like, even like, going away from like a big traumatic event for you're missing a meeting. I mean, I do things like that all the time, and it's very easy for us to not take any ownership of it and just say, right, I'm not going to look at that, and I'm going to, it's because of this or because of that, or some form of conceptual blaming of something that doesn't exist. Like, oh, I didn't get around, I didn't do it because of this. We create something in our mind that absolves us of responsibility for taking ownership for whatever happened in some way. Yeah, it's an interesting. It can be an interesting conversation to have with people, depending on where they are in scale of victimhood.
Yeah, as you said, it's such a wide scope of information and meaning behind it, and it'd be interesting if people come along to the retreat and you know, we all play the role of a victim in one shape or another, and I didn't want to be a victim today, but it looks like I've done it twice because I arrived late for this podcast as well, this conversation as well. Now, again, I could have been a victim on that and played with that, but we're having fun with it. And so what? Okay, yeah. Let's do the video, Richard. Let's talk about it, because it's worthwhile people knowing that we're not putting ourselves on a pedestal and then saying, hey, we're perfect and everything's okay. We are human beings as well. And so we mess up all the time as well.
Yeah, we're fallible. I mean, that's the, you know, human beings are fallible, and we make mistakes all the time. And I find it's much better, just like you say, just to take ownership of it without embellishing it in any way. Again, people that either I've coached or I've had, you know, those kind of relationships with, or I'm guiding them, doing some life guidance, and, you know, and I'm saying, you just take ownership for it. You just be honest and say, you know, it's like one of these things. One small way it does it is that we'll say things like, "Sorry, I didn't have the time to get back to you," and in some way that is us saying, oh, I'm devolving responsibility to this conceptual thing called time, you know, outside of myself, rather than just owning it and just saying, hey, I chose not to get back to you, because that's actually what happened. You chose not to get back to somebody because you chose other things to do other things instead. You know? But even that small thing, if you say to somebody, well, just say that next time, I chose not to get back to you, inside they would feel like, I can't say that to somebody. Why would, you know, that's, you know, it's kind
cringe,
of
cringy,
isn't it?
Yeah, they're beating themselves up over it. It's like that cartoon thing, big hammer going ding dong.
Yeah.
I'm a victim. Ding dong.
I'm a victim. Yeah, I can devolve responsibility onto this conceptual thing called time, and that, you know, time didn't allow me to return your call, or time didn't. It's like, that's not how it works.
I mean, that's what people kind of get when they come to the 4 days, to the retreat end of August. It's
the truth.
The truth.
Nothing but the truth with a capital T.
Yeah. I think it's not saying that it's wrong or right with what they're saying, but it's just getting them to look at the situation or look at the thing differently, from a different window. I like to say, look at from this side of the window instead of the other side. You know, because it's quite easy to blame that side of the window for being the problem.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah. I mean, because it's also, you know, it's not really about being like a sort of a hard and fast, you know, individualistic type person either. It's just about saying that if I don't take responsibility somehow for the things that are happening, then I'll never take responsibility for anything. It's, you know, and I'll put it on all these things outside of myself. And this isn't to say that there doesn't need to be some form of collective action in life, or, you know, things have got to, other people have got to do things, you know, but it's just to say that, oh, everything's happening here, not over there. And because everything's happening here, then it's always got to be addressed from this point of view. You know, it can't be addressed from the point of view over there, because I can't address it from the point of view over there, because I'm not over there. I'm just here.
Yeah. So where you're going is where you are.
Exactly.
It's we got to laugh about it, but at the same time, I think when the men come to come to the retreat, there'll be little snippets, little seeds, whatever we wish to call them, just that kind of just makes them understand that it's okay in that situation not to be thinking I'm the victim in this. And as you said, the victim is such a big word. To many people, it can cover in some areas, but actually being ownership, actually really wanting to commit themselves to the retreat is a form of ownership.
Mhm. Yeah.
And the fact that they participate, it's a form of ownership. And if they share their experiences, it's a form of ownership.
Mhm. Mhm.
Again, ownership, like victim, is such a word that can be expanded into so many different areas for people. And yet for men, as you say, for men, it seems quite much harder to say, as you said, well, you know, I had a choice. I didn't want to come back to you. They don't say
Yeah.
that. I've never
No.
known any of my friends, male friends, ever said, well, I had a choice there, you know,
Yeah.
could have made a choice, but I didn't do that. I just thought, well, I best not phone you. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, you know, that's not what it's about.
For me, it's really just about being honest with yourself, and
Yeah.
also, you know, and seeing that, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah? I made a choice not to get back to you, or I did this thing, or I've been this kind of person, and sometimes there's going to be a lot of emotional weight when you see that inside of yourself, when you see how maybe you've shown up in the past, or you haven't taken responsibility, or and so this is what about not being a victim to the event. And it starts with the small things. I mean, it starts with us like looking at the top layer, because I can't dive down into the depth of my subconsciousness from straight away. I can't be up here with all this noise and then suddenly get down to here in one go. I've got to chip away at everything that's happening up here first and go, okay, well, how do I slowly start to do it? How do I slowly start to tell myself the truth and start to take action based on those small steps? Because in the past, I've been somebody who's gone like, oh, I want to go from here to here in one jump. It's just impossible. So from here to here, let's use depth as a metaphor. And so we go from here to here in one jump, and it's not going to work. You've got to just look at yourself in a very light and compassionate way of like, right, let's just start with the small things. Let's just start with just that, right? How do I manage my time? How do I show up with my family? How do I show up with my friends? And giving yourself the grace, I want to say, to show up, compassionately and be present to what's happening, and then slowly over time it will start to delve deeper, and you'll start to delve deeper into your subconscious and start to see, that, oh, okay, there's some bigger things that I need to take care of and take ownership for as well. But you got to get rid of the noise first.
Yeah, it's it's like it's as though we can do that and it's not a problem. We can fix stuff and it's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay, it's done. No, it's not done. It's us thinking about how we can be with other people and how we can be with ourselves. That's what I'm going by. That's what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could be totally in a different direction. I could be talking BS at this moment in time. But that's how I've seen it.
Mm. Yeah.
But you're saying some truth there.
Yeah.
That's
But the truth is the difficult thing for us to see and to look at and to take on board. And part of doing it in a retreat setting with other people around you is that you've got that support of people that are experiencing the same kind of things and having the same insights and understandings about themselves, and you've got people around you that can just say, hey, look, it's okay, it's not a problem. We all have these kind of realizations. I mean, some of my kind of realizations now about how I've shown up in the past have started to come up. It's like, all right, yeah, God, I was a bit arrogant when I was like that, wasn't I? Or I wasn't a very humble person, or I wasn't, I didn't really think about somebody else's feelings and emotions there, and I just kind of acted from a place of egotism, but I've only got to that point now that I can look at those things because there's been a clearing out of everything else, and there's been holding myself in a lot more compassion and love while I do that.
I mean, I like the expression "clear out the garbage," take out the garbage out of the head.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this many times, but it's like 98% of it is just garbage anyway. So you might as well throw out the rest. Stop thinking too hard about things that could be not worth thinking about.
Yeah. Because they're the distraction. They're the thing that's taking you away from the truth of things.
I think the truth is also about being present, isn't it? Really being present to what's going on. And it's the awareness of things that are happening as well at the same time.
Such a right. My wife phoning me. Being present to getting a phone call. Such that such an easy thing to say though, isn't it? Be present to awareness, and everybody goes, because you're aware. We're both aware right now. We're here. We're present to each other, but there's a different quality of presence and awareness that we're talking about. It's almost an absence of a thing that's aware. There's almost an absence of something that needs to be aware. It's an emptiness of presence. That's what we're speaking about here. Is just being so open that you almost just disappear. There's just a seed of you here that you're able to grab onto, and that level of presence. It's not something you maintain all the time, but it's something that you can. It's almost like you can hunt around it and move away from it and back to it, move away back to it. But you know where it sits, so you're able to have a foundation in that. Whereas before you might be so far away from it, like you say, in the garbage, that you're sorting through the garbage, and you can't find that level of presence anymore, or can't even uncover it.
Yeah. I remember doing one a company, and we're doing something on communication, and it was interesting. Halfway through, we had a bit of a break and a bit of a sandwich and stuff. And it was interesting. About half of them came up to me and said, "Have you been hypnotizing us? Have you been really doing something to us?" And I'm going, "No, that's just you being very present to what I'm saying." And I said, I compared it to, like, when you've listened to these songs or these speakers that are really kind of wow, and you kind of go into that, you go into the movie of that actor and that play, etc. Well, that's what's happening. You get just going into it, into that void, into that experience of as though you are there, but you're not there.
Yeah, it's always the paradox.
Yeah.
It's you probably have been hypnotized, and we put some stuff in the call aid, and then, but it's it's an interesting thing to be present without being here. It's an interesting. I use the word interesting, but I can't really think of anything else to describe it, because interesting makes it sound like it's. But it's not. It's just like everything's just happening. Life is doing what it needs to do, and I don't need to get involved in it. But I'm fully in it. I'm fully in it. It's just 100% of the time. It's fully here, and there's no. But I don't need to be involved in it whatsoever. It's just happening, and I'm moving along with it. And of course, people may hear this and have that kind of, what do you mean by that? But it's just a way of being in your life, so that you're not so longer in your mind, you're not so longer in your thinking, you're not so longer in your victimhood of life, that you think life is being done to you, rather than it's something that's coming from you, and it's just there you go. It's just this happening all the time.
And I think what's a good example is the sports people,
Mm.
especially the sports people who have that state of mind to be so much in that zone more often than other people, because of the fact that they're performing at a different level. Sometimes they are really going into that, no thoughts, no expectations, and just really being where they are, being who they can be, creating that possibility to be who they can be in that position of, a runner or whatever, a cricketer, football, whatever it is, that sport they're doing. They kind of, they zoom into that state of mind. And yet we find it's like, whoa, they can do it, but we can't do it. What's going? No, it's not. It's just
there's no difference. I mean, there's nothing. There's no special ability to do this. The gift is already given, which I say to people. The gift is already given. It's already here. You know, you don't have to go find it outside of yourself. You don't even have to come onto this retreat to find it. I mean, no, that's not a prerequisite.
Not at all. It's just that you're meeting you and I.
Yeah, it's just a nice way to hang out for a few days and get some nice food and do some interesting, do a bit of yoga, do some sacred breath work, and have some good conversations. And at the end of that, you might find that your life completely changes, or not. But either way, it's going to be okay. You're going to have an experience, and no matter what happens, that experience is going to be part of you now, and you're going to take something from it. It might be that seed that needs to grow into something else. It might be a seed has to transform. The seed has to die to become something else. The seed has to die to become the wheat. It can't. So that seed has to be planted, and then it has to die and then transform into something else. So that's all this retreat is about. It's about planting seeds.
Beautiful.
See what it's like.
Plant away. Plant away.
Plant away.
Good. So when's the retreat again? Let's remind our listeners.
26th to the 29th of August. At Villa.
Testing you out there. Testing you there.
Hellebusch, Villa Hellebusch. Villa Hellebusch, which is in Galmarden. I'm probably saying that completely wrong because my sort of Flemish is not brilliant. But it is just outside of Brussels, in easy reach of the train station. If you need to come by train, you can come by car. Secluded, wonderful grounds. I think 15 acres of woodland. So you don't even have to spend time with everybody else. You can go off and spend some time in nature. You don't even have to come and speak to us or do any of the activities, or you can just come and have good food, sleep, spend some time in nature. That alone is worth the retreat price, I would think.
Yeah, exactly.
The bonus is you might get to talk to us.
It's a blessing, if or not. We have to see.
We'll throw that in for free. That's free. All you're paying for is the breakfast and the nice room and the secluded location. Everything else is free.
Everything else is free. That's great.
No, good. So if you want to come along, come along. We'll be happy to have you there. It will be a nice couple of days. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to having the fun of connecting with people who are just wanting to experience something. As you say, it could be something small, something big. Doesn't really matter. It's just the fact people together, and that they create a connection, a friendship, a bond, whatever we wish to call it, they will call it. Like you and I have over these videos that we've done, and over creating these different retreats that had to be cancelled. But it's actually created a special bond between Gary and myself creating this. So, you know, you never know where it takes us. So we look forward to seeing you there anyway.
Yeah, indeed. So thanks for watching. Until next week, we'll have another video out next week. And,
yeah.
speak to you all soon.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.